Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping in. Another episode of Cooking with Shpeederman. Today, I'm going to rip out some macaroni and cheese, but with a little bit of a twist. We're going to do some sauteed mushrooms and shallots that are going to go into it, and we're going to make a cheese sauce. I got some sharp cheddar, and this is actually a cheese blend. There is some cheddar, Swiss, American in here. I like to make a blend of cheeses. It gives it more like a creamy sauce that we're going to pour over the macaroni when it's cooked, and it will actually soak it up. So classic elbows, and we're getting the water all prepped up, and we're going to saute the mushrooms and shallots up right here in some butter. So I will get these prepped up and ready and be back in just a second. Alright, cheddar is all sliced up. This was an 8-ounce block, 227 grams, and I got a double boiler ready. So I got water in there, a little less than half. Put this bad boy on top. That way it's steam heating it evenly, and now real direct hot heat from the burner. So that way the cheese doesn't stick or burn to the bottom. If you don't have a double boiler, it's fine. Just get a pot, 2 pots, one for your water, the other one you're going to put your cheese and stuff in, and you can actually, once the bottom water is boiling, you can just hold this pot over. If you do it that way, I'd recommend using an oven mitt or something, because if that steam gets you, it's going to really hurt. Steam is bad. Here's our mushrooms, shallots. They're almost all cooked down the way we want them. I will go until this moisture is actually evaporated right out of the pan. These all have a nice caramel look to them. These are coming along nice, almost ready. And water is about to start boiling. So typically I'll season the water, salt. I am not going to do that, just as well as I'm not going to season these the mushrooms and shallots outside of the butter. I'm going to put the seasoning in the cheese sauce. The cheese sauce is going to be thin enough that it's going to soak into the pasta. The other thing I don't do is I do not put olive oil in my water, or oil in general. My experience is that it doesn't prevent things from sticking. It creates more of a mess. And if you have a gas burner, the sides of the pan get astronomically hot. And when you throw pasta in there, it flares up and scorches. So let me get the cheese stacked in here with some milk, salt, and pepper. And we'll get that ready to start warming up. But I'm going to chuck about a pound of pasta in there to get it rolling. Alright, mushrooms and shallots are coming along nicely. Pasta's in the hopper. So we've got that 8-ounce block of sharp cheddar and an 8-ounce bag of the blended, which is, it's the Swiss, American, and more cheddar. I definitely like adding the Swiss and the American cheese to the cheddar because it will make it so much smoother. Cheddar alone gets kind of coarse. It doesn't seem to blend very well when you melt it down for a sauce. Oven is preheated to 375 because we are going to bake that. This is a regular casserole dish, so I've got sprayed down. So for the cheese sauce, now unfortunately I eyeball a lot of this, so I'm going to have to look at what's in the jug and how much I pour out. So I am pouring milk in here. You can use half and half. You can use cream. And just be careful how heavy you make it, depending. So I've got enough here where I started to see it come up. It's probably about a cup, maybe a cup and a half of cheese. I don't want to add too much because I don't want to make it too thin. Now is when I'm going to season it. I'm going to put a bunch of black pepper in here. There. And a little bit of salt. Don't need to add a ton, just because by nature cheese is kind of salty anyways. Alright, so once the noodles are done and the mushrooms are about done, once these brown up a little bit more, get kind of a, I won't say crispy looking, but definitely like caramelized looking, I'll throw them right directly into the casserole pan. And then I will start working on getting the cheese sauce melted down. Stay tuned. Alright, quick shot. Mushrooms and shallots are done. That's about how I like to get them. Browned and caramelized, no moisture left. Those are going to be good. Cheese is on, waiting for that water in the bottom to start to boil, which will then in turn start to melt that cheese, and the pasta is almost done. So when this is done, I'll drain it. Usually let it cook to not completely done, a little bit al dente. Drain it, don't rinse it, leave it hot. And then I toss it back on top of the mushrooms. I'll mix it in just so the mushrooms and shallots and the pasta is all blended in. When the cheese sauce is all melted, all I'm going to do is pour it directly on this and give it a stir kind of quick, because as it cools, it's going to want to solidify a little bit. It does stay creamy, but it doesn't stay as thin as when it's hot. When it does, then I'm going to dust it with some panko breadcrumbs, a little bit of olive oil, just so it'll toast up the crumbs a little bit better, and then it's going to go in the oven to bake. Okay, pasta's been drained, not rinsed, put in and mixed well with the mushrooms. And we are melting some cheese. So again, about the steam, what I usually do is I pull the two handles back. So on the back side is where it has an escape for steam. You don't want it coming off the front side like this, because if you get your hands in there, you will get burned. And you do not want to get burned by steam. It is vicious. So as you can see, this is starting to melt down. And I will keep this on here until it gets smooth. It will be on the thin side, which is what we want. So that way it's easier to pour over the noodles, and the macaroni will actually soak up the extra fluid and actually get it down to as thick as, a nice thicker creaminess. So even though this is on a double boiler, you want to make sure you do keep moving it so it just doesn't stick to the bottom. It won't burn, but it'll stick. The steam is still pretty hot, so I'm going to keep stirring this until it actually comes all the way down. So as you can see, it's moving along pretty quick. And then we'll get it spatulaed out of here. Moved over here, crumbed and dusted. Alright, just got the cheese sauce melted and just barely poured it in here. So you can see how thin it really is at the moment. Just mix it all good so it's all the pasta's coated. Mushrooms are well blended. Oh, this smells good. There, once you got it all well mixed, get the last of them fungus morsels in there. Don't waste them. Now, panko breadcrumbs. I do use seasoned panko crumbs, so this is where you're going to get a bunch of your extra seasoning from. You can add it on as thick as you want. You can use Italian breadcrumbs. You can use them seasoned or unseasoned, however you wish. And even if you don't want breadcrumbs, you can actually throw another layer of shredded cheese on the top to get it all nice and crispy and crunchy. There. So, nice healthy coating. Can't see any stuff down below. And then, if I can get the cap off, there we go. I just give it a quick little dust of olive oil. This just helps to brown it. It does give it a little bit more of a richer taste, if you will. However, this thing is going to be pretty rich anyway between the milk, cheese, and butter. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? Okay, so this is going to get chucked in the oven, 375 degrees, for like 15-20 minutes. I like to go until the breadcrumbs get a nice toasty brown look on them. Alright, let's get it in there. Alright, let's take a quick peek. Okay, it's getting kind of toasty, a little bit more, but you can see it bubbling nice. Yeah. Here's the final product, all rested, nice and toasty. Let's see what this looks like. There you go. Just like that. Enjoy!